Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Carla and I am here with a little update, as I promised, on what I have been working on in the past week. In my last video, I presented a challenge on this particular design, and what I wanted to do was try to get 10,000 stitches more or less by the end of this month. It's quite a tall goal because I worked it out as being about 300 stitches a day, just a little over 323, and I've sort of done pretty well. I have managed to keep up. In fact, I've actually gone over that amount a little bit, but I do have to say that it hasn't been always very easy. Some days during the week I found it was a little bit difficult. I was worried I wasn't going to get any stitches at all, so I tried to hurry and do as many stitches as I could on some of the other days. So it was a little bit hit and miss. I feel like I've done better this week than I will probably do for the rest of the month, and I don't know, probably because I haven't been caught out yet on being dragged away for something or other, or an appointment or something, or whatever it is that would, some days I won't be able to sit down and actually do 300 stitches in one sitting. So I can give you the figures of what I've done. I don't normally like to do figures, but in this particular instance, where I'm actually doing something where I'm trying to get to a figure, a particular goal, then I think it makes more sense. So I figured out that I have to do a target of about 2,261 a week for the next 4 weeks. And what I've actually got done in the first 7 days now is 3,144. So I am over what I should do, which is great, because coming up, I might not be able to get, like I said, I might not be able to get as many stitches done on certain days. So it's really difficult to say a certain amount that you're going to do every single day, because you don't know what you're doing that day, or there might be other plans or something comes up. So yeah, it's more like to look at it, I think, over the course of a week and see where you're at. What can I tell you about the way I've been working on this chart? Now, it does look very different, doesn't it, from the original picture? Yeah, so what I was doing was I was actually working this row by row in blocks. Actually, no, I was doing cross country, and then I went to doing row by row. I started doing row by row, and I found that it was feeling a bit tedious doing row by row after having done cross country for so long. However, there was so much confetti in this part here that I really could not even do cross country. It's like I still had to keep stopping every other stitch to change my thread anyway. So I thought, this is terrible. I can't even see the little gaps in the middle. Some of them, because the grid is grey, some of these lighter colours are difficult to see whether you've actually done them or not. Like I've mentioned this before, when you get a light silvery colour, it's difficult to be able to tell whether you've actually done that stitch or not, unless you're looking really, through a magnifying glass or something. I have to kind of poke at it with a needle to see if I've actually done the stitch. So I thought, right, I'll just go row by row on this particular area. And then I thought, well, why don't I go and do some diagonal and see how I feel about that? Because the row by row in column form going down just seemed to me to be taking a long time. That's not to say that, it could still take a long time doing it in diagonal. However, surprisingly, I really zipped down through the diagonal a lot quicker. And I don't know why that is. It could be the actual stitches were more favorable, there was less confetti, or it could just be like I'm better at seeing and maneuvering the diagonal. So what I've got going on here is interesting, because I don't know if anybody's seen, if you haven't seen my videos before, I started doing this in 2/1 with 2 strands in tent stitch. So all this area around the owl is in tent stitch. Then I decided I wanted to do 1/1 full cross, so I started doing the owl in 1/1 full cross. And then when I decided I wanted to stick with 1/1 full cross, I thought I'm just going to finish doing the background in tent and carry on doing the owl. But now I got to the point, whereas when I started doing this diagonal down here and I'm doing rows across, some of these stitches here are in 2-strand tent, and some of these stitches are in one strand full cross. So I was thinking, now here is the real challenge for me, because some of these park threads here, like these two park threads here, if I can bring it side one, these two strands parked are two strands because they're for the half cross background, and there's half of this on this side because it curves like that. It's going to be the 1/1 full cross. So I have to be really, really careful. And I also, like, there's nothing on the chart that tells me exactly where that ends and begins, but I can more or less see where that lighter blue is. That is the kind of the outline of the owl. So I will be doing up to that point in full crosses, and I will be doing the rest in tent. So it is doable. It makes an interesting effect. It really does. I can clearly see better the difference between the owl and the background, which is actually quite nice. So it gives it a kind of nice texture, which I think is rather surprising. And it also kind of makes it a little bit more unique, more like something, you know, even if somebody else does this chart, I know that charts are not unique because other people can buy them and do them, but it feels more unique to me because I've approached it in a slightly different way and I've handled it slightly differently. So it's like, yeah, that's fun. You know, I've done this one in 2 different styles, which is not unusual because you get that anyway in a lot of sort of paper pattern charts and kits. They ask you to do crosses here and half stitches there. So it isn't that it's wrong to mix things. It's just, are you brave enough to do it? And, you know, once you've done it, you can't really unpick it and change it. So I'm quite happy. As you can see, I followed the line of the owl all in the crosses. All this part needs to be filled in half crosses. The reason I haven't done that completely is because it's very, very quick to do all this, and it gives you a lot of numbers. It gives you a high count that you've done. So I'm thinking that if I'm struggling on a day with the crosses where it's taking me a long time, I can actually move over to my half stitches and do a couple of lines of that, a few lines of that, and I'll have over 100 stitches done in no time, whereas it'll take me a lot longer to do 100 stitches when I'm going down in this more confetti area. I am tempted to just go and fill that in, but I think it makes sense really to just leave that for days when I don't have a lot of time. I think that makes sense. This area down here is also going to be quite good for not having a lot of confetti, and that I'm doing in 1/1 because I started doing it in 1/1. So the only half crosses I've got really is this dark background, which is fine for me. So I'm actually quite happy with it. There was a couple of days, I think last night was one of them, where I was just feeling really tired and I thought I really, really, really don't want to work on this piece. It wasn't calling to me. I thought, oh God, I haven't even finished the week and I'm already struggling. What do I do? But then I went out for a walk and cleared my head. And by the time I came back, I was fine. I sat down for a bit and I was like, oh, I'm okay now. I can get back to it. And then I literally did all this diagonal, all this bit round here. I did last night, and I quite rather enjoyed it, to be honest. I enjoyed the challenge of figuring out what was the half stitch and what was the crosses. It made it more interesting, let's say, than just a tedious going down. So really, I've kind of followed a path of discovery, but I've also realized that I don't always like to stick to the same method. I don't know why that is. It doesn't make any sense to me because you'd think that you like a certain method and you'd stick with it. But me, no. I go and I change and I change and I change. But I really do actually like diagonals. And I know that I actually go down faster on them than I do with columns. The 1/1 I've gotten used to and I quite like that too. But I don't really like the 1/1 cross country when there's tons and tons of confetti, because it just leaves it so many tiny little gaps everywhere that it gets harder and harder to see. And I think I've had a few little difficulties seeing properly recently. So my eyesight hasn't been great, and it kind of goes through phases like that. A couple of years ago, the optician said to me, well, if you've got sinus issues and stuff like that, it can also affect your eyes a little bit. Because I had my eyes tested and they were fine. And then some days my eyes are better. So I think I'm going to continue in diagonal with this because at the moment it's interesting. I don't know how far to go down. This is the actual width completely of this chart. I don't know how far to go down, whether to go to the bottom of the nudge hoop and then just keep doing those diagonals till I get to there, or do I stop somewhere up here? Because I remember that I used to get really fed up of long diagonals. I used to feel like I was on a trek down a mountain or up a mountain, like going up Everest or something. I was never going to get there, never going to get to the bottom. And it was rather daunting. So I used to think, if I make my diagonals shorter, will I feel happier about them? Because then I'd be starting new diagonals a lot quicker. But I do like the look of the long diagonals. So it's a bit of a, a bit of a conundrum there. I don't really know which way to go about that, but we'll see. I thought I might just go down maybe one more. And it's true that you actually do see a lot more progress when you're doing it like that, because I started another diagonal here as well, and you do see a lot more of the feathers and the details coming in. So all in all, let's have a look. I'm fairly happy with working. This is the thing for me. I'm always in a bit of a pickle about whether I should do multiple whips or just stick to one whip. I never really know, to be honest. My brain just doesn't want to tell me straight. I just flit around. So I was thinking, how do I actually feel about just working on the one? Well, I'll tell you something. I like that you get to see a lot more progress if you're just stitching on the one. That's obvious. I think a lot of people can admit that if they're just sticking to the one chart, they're going to see a lot more progress on that chart. However, my other whips, not that they've been calling to me, but some of them I have been tempted to go out and pick up and stitch because I miss them. It's that simple. I think, oh, I want to go back and do that one. I want to go back and do that one. So there has been that element as well. I haven't done it now. I did do a little bit of work on the Riverwalk charm because I want to just keep that consistently going, but not enough really to come back and show you what I've done, like maybe 200 stitches max. Excuse me. Oh, dry throat today. So I think for now, I'm just going to keep rolling forward, and I'm trying not to pick out other things. Sometimes I feel like if I pick out something else, then I'm not going to get the stitches done on this. Now, the other question I have in my head, and I haven't answered it yet, is am I going to continue with this one at the end when I've finished my end of month challenge? Am I maybe not doing another challenge? I don't think I'm going to do another 10k challenge on this. But let me see, how many stitches have I got left until I finish now? Because this one's a story keep, so it's quite small. Okay, so there's 45,192 stitches left in this whole chart. That's not a lot, is it? And you'd think I could just keep going until I finish it, but that would still take me at 250 stitches a day. That would take me until the end of the year. And yeah, so that's still like, if you think about it, 6 months of doing 250 stitches a day. That's kind of asking a lot, especially when you've got other things that you'd want to get back to working on. So I don't know if I can keep that up for 6 months. I really don't. So I'm not actually going to commit to that at this point, because if I make that commitment, I think it's like when I was doing the HAED SAL, it started to become a commitment, and then it's like, oh, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. So I don't think it's a good idea actually to make that commitment. I think that I should keep it out as part of, doing it now and then, like maybe twice a week, and just see where we get to, because I just know myself. I just know that that's what will happen. Even if I tell myself to do something, I don't want to do it, which is hilarious. So yeah, it doesn't have a huge amount of stitches, but there's still like a commitment daily to getting it done by the end of the year. And I do miss some of the other ones as well. Now, there was something else I was going to say about this chart, and I can't remember what it was. I'll probably remember now once the video is finished. I'm actually quite happy to continue with the background being half stitch and the owl being 1/1. And I have to say, I love this bit of outline coming out because he's kind of got like an aura around him, and I think the colors on him are absolutely stunning. The detail is absolutely stunning. It really is a very detailed chart, so you can expect a fair amount of confetti around the feathers. So I'm quite happy with it, although it is quite a bit of work. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you can see how many colours are in here just by my parked threads. Now, this would be half the amount of parked threads that I would have had if I was doing 2 strands. There would have been double the amount, which is what I normally would have had previously. And that was just getting too bulky for me. But with the 1 strand, it is so much lighter. I actually don't mind parking with the 1 strand. So I think that's everything I need to tell you about how far I've got with this chart. I haven't... like I said, there has been days when I didn't really want to pick it up, but I did anyway because I didn't want to fall behind. And those sort of days when that happens, makes me think, I don't know if I can continue something like this for the rest of the year. Because if I'm already umming and ahhing about it in a week, what am I going to be like in August, September? I'm probably going to, hide it away somewhere in a locked drawer, locked chest. Throw away the key. I am enjoying it. I do like it. I just don't like telling myself what to do. That's really just it. And even if somebody else tells me what to do, it's just as bad. I'm not going to do it anyway. I just kind of have this rebellious nature, I think, even when it comes to the stitching. So I'm going to continue, and I'll probably I'm just guessing here, I'm probably going to get most of this done and chip away at here when I've got less time. But I'm going to get most of this done. Oh, stop moving, camera. Most of this done by the next time I see you, which is the end of another week. So yeah, folks, just to top it up, I've done 3,144 after 7 days, and I only needed to do 2,200. So I'm well ahead. I could even skip 1 or 2 days if I really needed to. I'm that far ahead, which gives me a bit of reprieve, which is absolutely fine. So that's all the news. I also wanted to mention that I went into town and I went to this great shop here in Edinburgh. It's called Edinburgh Collectibles, and they've got all sorts of memorabilia to do with, like, gaming and movies and pop bands and stuff like that. Also, mugs. It's got loads of witchy stuff as well, which is what I really like. And it's got army stuff, and it's got like loads of what do you call those things, crystals and things that you can, for different things, like for energy, for optimism, for healing, that sort of thing. Healing crystals, that's the word I was looking for. They've got all sorts of things, like a real selection. So it's a huge shop, and I went in and they had some Lisa Parker things, and I got this notebook, which is really cool. Look at that. That's one of the Lisa Parker designs. Now, I don't know, I had a look on the Heaven and Earth website, and I didn't see this particular design as a HAED, as a Heaven and Earth design. But there is other ones that I was looking at, and I thought, ooh, maybe I'll do another Lisa Parker at some point. This is also Lisa Parker. So this Lisa Parker here is the one who's also designed this HAED chart. And I just love the spine there as well. Look, the spider web, and the spider web at the back is really cool. So yeah, love that little notepad, got that. And I think I will keep a few of my stitchy notes in there, which will always help. And number 2, there is some new needle minders up in my shop, which I'll quickly show you whilst I have a chance. So we got some of my own artwork here, which were made, I think, last week, middle of last week maybe. So these are original art. Probably recognize this one, called The Scream. And here's a castle, this robin. They're all really lovely and sparkly. And they are up now in my Etsy shop. The link is down below. I thought this one was so cute with the little turtle. So yeah, look how sparkly they are when you turn them a certain way. Once they're gone, they're gone, and I've sold quite a number of these already. So there you go. Because I'm stitching this one so diligently, I don't always have a lot of time now to be making so many needle minders. But I do get like a couple of good days where I can make a good batch of them. I think that's everything. I didn't want to make a super long video. I just wanted to come in and update any of you who were actually following from the last video. I know not everybody's interested in the one chart or the challenge or anything like that, but it's something to do, and it's something to, you know, engage with, and just a little fun challenge, really. That's all it is, nothing else. I'm not very good with challenges and stuff like that, but hey, you know, at the end of the day, it's helping me move along with one of my projects, which is really what it's intended to do. So with that, I will say thank you again, and I will come back probably in another 7 days and hopefully update you with some more good progress on this chart and let you know how everything is going then. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.